The arrival. We are the Varnock. It started with silence. No internet, no phone signal, no radio. People thought it was a global power outage, but it was much more. In New York City, crowds gathered in confusion. Cars stopped working. Planes disappeared from radars. Birds flew in strange circles as if the sky itself was broken. Then the sky went dark, not like a storm, but like something was blocking the sun. Above the clouds, a giant black shape appeared. It was not a ship. It was a floating city, massive, silent, alive. News didn't come, but a message did. All screens, in homes, offices, and even old televisions, turned on by themselves. A symbol appeared, a circle with a burning eye. Then, a voice. Calm. Cold. We are the Varnock. Your planet now belongs to the Immortal Order. You will not be harmed. You will obey. Panic spread. People ran, screamed, prayed. But nothing happened for 1 hour. No soldiers, no lasers, no noise. Just the floating city staring down. At a secret research center in Iceland, Dr. Leah Morgan, a top scientist in space signals, was already working. She wasn't panicking. She was listening. She had seen the signs weeks ago. Small changes in Earth's magnetic field, strange waves in deep space. Everyone laughed at her warnings. But now, nobody was laughing. Leah stared at her monitor. Her hands were shaking. This wasn't random, she whispered. They've been watching us. For years. In Tokyo, in the heart of a military base, Commander Raj Malik received orders. But the orders made no sense. Stand down, do not engage, do not resist. Raj didn't follow orders blindly. He checked satellite records. All defense systems were disabled, by code written in an unknown language. The aliens had already hacked every system. They were inside before they arrived, he said to his team. This wasn't an attack, this was a takeover. In the streets, strange machines floated down, not to kill, but to scan. They didn't speak, they didn't touch, they just watched. People waved, some threw rocks. Nothing happened. One boy in Brazil touched one of the floating drones. It beeped once and then flew away. Across the world, people waited for war, but the war didn't come. Instead, the voice returned. Your species is primitive. We will guide your future. All weapons will be collected. All leaders must surrender within 48 Earth hours. Obey, and you will live long. Back in Iceland, Leah found something strange in the alien signal. It wasn't new. Buried deep inside the Varnock transmission, there was a pattern, an echo, something that matched a signal from 40 years ago. A weak broadcast, ignored by scientists back then. It came from Earth itself. What if someone already knew? Leah thought. What if they warned us, and no one listened? She ran a program to decode the message. The screen flashed. One line appeared. They are not gods, they are thieves, and they always come in silence. Leah's heart raced. The Varnock weren't just conquerors, they were repeat offenders. They had done this before. Maybe on other planets. Maybe here, long ago. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility, under the sea, a group of unknown people watched Earth from old equipment. Their faces were covered. Their signals were clean, untouched by the Varnock. One voice said, "They've arrived." Another replied, "Let the girl find the rest of the message. She'll lead the resistance." Back on the surface, Leah didn't sleep. She kept working. She knew the Varnock weren't attacking because they didn't need to. They believed they had already won. But humans are not predictable. She whispered to herself, "They think we'll kneel." But they've made one big mistake. A light blinked on her screen. The signal continued. Next line. When they fall hard. And, somewhere high above the Earth, inside the floating city, a Varnock commander watched Leah through an invisible screen. He frowned. "She is dangerous," he said. Another Varnock replied, "She is human, they are all weak." But the commander looked again and didn't seem so sure. The resistance begins. Humans do not obey. The world stayed quiet. No bombs, no fire, no death. The Varnock didn't destroy Earth, they simply took it. One by one, human governments surrendered. World leaders made speeches of peace, their eyes cold and empty, as if their words were not truly theirs. The Varnock called it the silent peace. They believed control without chaos was the highest form of conquest. But in the silence, something else began. In a dark underground shelter beneath the Swiss Alps, Commander Raj Malik was preparing for war. He had ignored the surrender order. He had stolen one EMP device before the defense systems went offline. And now, he was not alone. A small group had gathered around him, ex-soldiers, engineers, hackers. Men and women with no homes left, only rage in their hearts. They called themselves the Ember Circle. Why Ember? Because even after the fire dies, Raj said, one spark can burn down a forest. Meanwhile, in Iceland, Dr. Leah Morgan decoded more of the hidden signal. It wasn't just a warning, it was a map showing Varnock signal towers, deep below Earth's crust, hidden under oceans, deserts, even ancient ruins. Each tower was built to control human thought. Not completely. Not yet, but slowly, like poison in water. Leah stared at the data in horror. They're not killing us. They're changing us. Far above, inside the floating Varnock city, called Zortalon, the alien commanders watched Earth like farmers watching sheep. One general, called Ziratek, studied human history, wars, revolutions, civilizations rising and falling. He laughed. They destroy themselves without us. Why do we even bother? But one Varnock scientist disagreed. They are unstable, yes, but they are also unpredictable. Unpredictable? Ziratek scoffed. They are emotional, weak, they panic. The scientist didn't argue, but deep inside he was not so sure. Back on Earth, a small town in Africa resisted. A local tribe refused to obey. They had no technology, no weapons, but every time the Varnock sent a drone, it crashed. Every time they sent a patrol, it vanished. One Varnock soldier returned trembling. I heard them sing, and I saw faces from my past. It was like they touched my memories. The Varnock were psychic. They shared thoughts, emotions, and commands. But humans were creating emotional noise, fear, grief, love, too powerful to control, and some aliens were starting to break. Leah reached out to Raj using an old Russian satellite that the Varnock hadn't found. At first, he didn't trust her. But after she showed him the signal data, he believed. They needed to meet. But the Varnock were everywhere. Cameras in the sky, listening machines in the wind. Even birds were watching, metal birds built to look real. So Leah did something crazy. She uploaded a false signal, a Varnock emergency call, to distract them. She made it look like a human weapon was hidden in Antarctica. It worked. Within minutes, 3 Varnock patrol ships flew south. While they were gone, Leah ran to an old transport ship and flew in low stealth mode toward the mountains. She met Raj at midnight, under a ruined satellite tower. The first thing she said was, "I know how to hurt them." Raj led her inside. Dozens of people were there, tired, scared, but ready. Leah showed them the map, the towers, the signal lines, and then she showed them something else. They call themselves Immortal, but they're not. She revealed a captured image from a deep Varnock archive. It showed rows of bodies, cloned bodies, Varnock, floating in tanks, waiting to be used. They don't die. They just move their minds into new bodies, she explained. But if we cut the signal between the brain and the next clone, they die. Forever. A long silence followed. Then Raj smiled. Then let's make them mortal. That night they launched their first mission. Team of 5 snuck into an abandoned city in Germany, where one of the control towers was buried. They wore heat-blocking suits and moved under old subway tunnels. But just before reaching the tower, something happened. A sound. Not human. Like metal whispering. Suddenly, a figure appeared. Tall, black armor, no face. A Varnock enforcer. Everyone froze. The enforcer looked at the group, and then at one young girl. The youngest on the team. She was trembling, afraid. She screamed, and that scream, pure, raw fear, hit the enforcer like a weapon. It collapsed, screaming. Its body shook violently before exploding in a burst of light. The humans stared, shocked. What happened? Someone asked. Leah whispered. Emotion. It short-circuited the psychic link. Next morning, Raj made a new rule. No more hiding, no more silence. We use what makes us human, as a weapon. Far away in the Varnock Council chamber, General Siratek watched the footage. He didn't laugh this time. They killed an enforcer, without touching it. Another Varnock spoke. They are not like other species. Siratek growled. Then, we will break them louder. But someone else and the scientist he then simply said, or they will break us. The immortal lie. You can bleed, you can die. In the deep night of Earth, under a frozen wasteland in Greenland, something impossible happened. A Varnock died. Not transferred, not regenerated, truly died. It was not supposed to happen. The Varnock called themselves immortal, minds saved in crystal cores, memories transferred across bodies like files between machines. But now, a body lay still, cold, and the crystal inside was shattered. A Varnock commander stood over it, silent. His name was Kael Rin, the oldest among them. He had seen hundreds of worlds fall. This was different. They found the fracture point, he whispered. This species knows how to break souls. Above in orbit, in the Varnock command vessel, Sortalan, General Siratek watched the footage again and again. The human weapon wasn't a bomb, it wasn't even physical. It was emotion, grief, rage, fear, memories, raw and uncontrolled. The Varnock psychic link couldn't filter it. They had never faced creatures like this before. We made a mistake, said one scientist. Siratek didn't answer. He just ordered one thing. Find the source of the corruption. Kill it. Back on Earth, deep in the Ember Circle base, Dr. Leah Morgan and Commander Raj Malik studied the dead Varnock's remains. It had no blood. Its organs were hollow. Its bones were made from a soft metal, but the strangest thing was the core, the crystal that stored its memory. It was cracked, broken, as if the mind inside had screamed too loudly and tore itself apart. Leah ran a scan. There were traces of a human voice inside the crystal, a single word, Mother. Leah's eyes widened. It died reliving someone's memory, someone's pain. Raj clenched his fists. Then let's give them more pain. Later that night, Leah shared a secret with Raj, something she hadn't told anyone, when she first heard the Varnock signal weeks ago. She heard a second signal too, not from the aliens, from a human, hidden inside the alien network. Someone was still alive inside the Varnock system. Someone who's been there for decades, Leah said, watching, waiting. Raj's eyes narrowed. You think they were captured? Leah shook her head. No, I think they let themselves be taken. Meanwhile, in the underground city of Miradon, one of the last human-controlled zones, something new happened. A Varnock soldier, wounded, disoriented, surrendered. He didn't speak much, but when he did, it shocked everyone. I remember dreams, human dreams. I remember holding a child. I don't have a child. These memories are not mine. The psychic link had been broken. He had absorbed human thoughts, and now he was no longer sure who he was in the Ember Circle. Base Leah did something dangerous. She connected a human brain to the broken Varnock crystal using old neural equipment. She wanted to see what the alien felt before it died. A young soldier volunteered. His name was Milo, just 19 years old. The connection was rough, violent, but what they saw was terrifying. A burning planet, not Earth, another world. Billions of lives erased, not with war, but with silence. A child screaming, a woman trying to run. The Varnock didn't attack. They erased the planet's memory, made it vanish from history. Then Milo whispered, in a voice not his own, "We were not always this way." The Varnock once had emotions, families, art, music. But long ago, they chose immortality. To become perfect, they removed emotion from their minds. What remained was logic, control, a cold, lifeless hive. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, emotion was coming back. And it was killing them. Raj prepared a plan. They would attack a transfer station, a Varnock site where minds were moved between bodies. The goal was not to destroy it, but to steal data. If they could understand how the transfer worked, maybe they could block it, make every Varnock killable. They moved at night, a team of 10. One chance. No backup. The station was buried inside an old volcano, surrounded by fake terrain, hidden from satellites. They entered through old lava tunnels using heat suits to fool the sensors. Inside, they saw rows and rows of crystal cores, floating, glowing, humming. Each one contained a living Varnock mind, ready to be born again. Then they saw something else, a human core, labeled Subject 0. Leah stared in disbelief. The human inside was alive, frozen, trapped in code, but alive. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The station shook. Drones activated. The mission was exposed. One soldier stayed behind to fight. Others escaped with a single data cube, the entire architecture of the Varnock mind transfer system. As the volcano exploded behind them, Raj looked back once. "You think you're gods?" he said to the sky. "Then bleed like men." Back in Zortalan, General Siratek reviewed the human attack. He was furious, silent. But then, one message came through his personal channel. From the Council of 13, the true rulers of the Varnock race. It said, "Retreat not permitted. Memory is sacred. Let no human survive. Begin Phase 2. Mind wipe." Siratek frowned. "They want to erase Earth." But someone in the room, a young Varnock technician, whispered something that no one expected. "What if the human are right?" The room froze. The hidden past. "We taught them to be monsters." The stolen Varnock data cube glowed softly in Dr. Leah Morgan's hands. It was warm, alive. Inside it, not just maps or weapons, but memories. Not just alien ones, human ones. And one memory kept repeating like a loop in a dream. A name, Elias Stride. Not a soldier. Not a general, but a scientist. A human who once worked with the Varnock. And according to the files, he was still alive. Hidden, preserved, somewhere on Earth. In the Ember Circle's secret base, tension hung heavy in the air. Commander Raj Malik paced the room reading the decrypted files. "He helped them," Raj muttered. "He gave them access to Earth's defenses 80 years ago." Leah looked at the code again, confused. "But he also tried to stop them. He sent the original warning signal, the one I found weeks ago." Raj frowned. "So, what was he? Traitor or hero?" Leah didn't answer, because the answer was both. The data cube showed an old hidden location, under the Atacama Desert in South America. Not a lab, not a prison, a vault, built to protect something too dangerous to be destroyed. Subject 0. Leah whispered. He's not just a prisoner. He's the key to why the Varnock came here in the first place. Far above Earth, inside, the floating city Zortalan, General Ziratek stood in front of a dark mirror. It was not a real mirror. It showed only the past. He saw Elias Stride, young, brilliant, furious. Years ago, the Varnock arrived peacefully, asking for help. They offered knowledge, technology, immortality, and Stride accepted. He built them human-compatible systems, opened the gates of Earth's defenses. But then, he saw what they did on another world, how they erased minds, cultures, histories. This is not peace, Elias had said in the old recording. It's memory murder. So, he turned on them. He stole their data, killed a Varnock general, sent out a warning signal. The Varnock captured him, but instead of killing him, they preserved him. Why? Because he knew things we didn't, Ziratek said aloud, and because he was the first human to make us afraid. In the present, Raj, Leah, and a small team flew across the desert in a cloaked shuttle. The heat outside was deadly. The Varnock satellites above were worse. They found the vault entrance buried under an old salt flat. Leah pressed her hand against the stone slab. It lit up, not with Varnock symbols, but human fingerprints. Elias had locked the vault for himself. They entered. The air inside was cold. Metal walls stretched deep underground, filled with blinking lights. At the center, a tall glass chamber. And inside it, floating, eyes closed, was Elias Stride. He looked no older than 35, frozen in time. Wires ran through his skin, connected to a Varnock crystal and a human hard drive. Leah approached slowly. Is he alive? Raj asked. Before she could answer, Elias's eyes snapped open. He gasped, not like someone waking from sleep, but like a man pulled back from death. Alarms started beeping. The vault groaned. You shouldn't have woken me, Elias said in a hoarse voice. They'll know. Outside, in space, Zortalan's sensors pinged. A forgotten signature, human and alien mixed, had come online. Ziratek's eyes widened. He's alive. They found him. Prepare the mind wipe. The Varnock didn't want to kill Elias. They wanted to erase him, permanently. Back in the vault, Elias sat, coughing. They came to Earth once before. Not 80 years ago. Hundreds of years ago. Everyone froze. The pyramids, the monoliths, the myths, it was real. The Varnock visited us before we had machines, and they feared us even then. He looked at Raj and Leah. You know why? Because humans evolve faster than they can calculate. We change. We adapt. We break the rules. Leah connected the data cube to Elias's mind link system. Images flashed. Earth during ancient times. Tribal humans fighting metal beasts. A young Varnock warrior defecting to protect humans. A hidden alliance and that ended in betrayal. And then one memory stood out. A secret code. Buried deep inside the Varnock control network. A failsafe. Built by Elias himself. You created a virus? Raj asked. Elias nodded. Not just a virus, a mirror. When triggered, it forces the Varnock to feel everything they've erased. Leah whispered. Memories. They've buried billions of souls. Elias looked tired. It's time they remember everyone. But before they could activate the code, the vault began to shake. A deep sound roared from above. A ship. Huge. Varnock made. But not for attack. For extraction. They were coming to take Elias back, or erase him entirely. Raj loaded his rifle. We hold the line. Elias placed his hand on a console. No. We give them a choice. Remember, or fall. He activated the mirror code. In space, across every Varnock vessel, a pulse was released. Not light, not sound. Memory. Billions of stolen. Thoughts, screams, hopes, regrets, unleashed into the alien network. Varnock soldiers across Earth began to collapse, shaking. Some cried, some tore off their armor. Others screamed as thousands of human voices filled their minds. "What's happening to them?" Leah asked. Elias looked at her. "We're giving them what they fear most, being human." Far above, in the Varnock High Council chamber, all 13 leaders froze. One by one, their minds cracked under the pressure of history they tried to erase. The Varnock had called themselves perfect. But now they remembered everything they had destroyed. And they were not ready. Turning the tables. They remembered fear the virus had spread. Not a digital virus. Not a weapon of code or machine. It was something far worse. Memory. Across the planet, Varnock soldiers collapsed. Their cold, logical minds were filled with human grief, human loss, and human rage. Some screamed, some fled, and a few began to question everything. It had begun. The Varnock called it the corruption. Humans called it hope. Deep inside the Ember Circle's Arctic bunker, Dr. Leah Morgan watched the psychic signal waves ripple through the atmosphere like invisible earthquakes. "It's working," she whispered. "They're breaking from the inside." Elias Stride stood beside her, weak but alive. "We've shown them what they made us forget. Now it's time we show them what we remember." Commander Raj Malik didn't wait. He gathered resistance teams from across the world. Thousands of people, soldiers, scientists, refugees, hackers, united by one goal, to fight back with more than bullets. They would fight with meaning. They hijacked Varnock's psychic amplifiers, not to listen, but to broadcast. Every memory the aliens tried to erase, every village they burned, every child they silenced, every world they wiped, was now weaponized. All over Earth, people stood in front of ancient towers and sang songs from lost tribes. They painted old languages on crumbled walls. They danced, cried, shouted, laughed, filling the world with uncontrolled emotion. It was chaos. But it was human. And the Varnock couldn't take it. In space, on the massive ship Zortalin, Varnock commanders lost control of their forces. Whole squads stopped responding. One young Varnock lieutenant fell to his knees, shaking. I saw her, a little girl crying for her brother. I felt her sadness, like it was mine. General Ziratek slapped him hard. "You're not human," he shouted. The lieutenant whispered, "Maybe I was before." Inside the Ember Circle's war room, a plan was formed. "We hit them in space," Raj said. "We take the fight to the sky." Leah looked at him. "How? They own the stars." Elias smiled faintly. "Not anymore. I built a ship once, but I never finished it. Because they took me." He pulled up old blueprints from a hidden drive, a hybrid craft, part human, part Varnock, designed for stealth and psychic disruption. The ship was still hidden, deep beneath an old decommissioned research base in the Mariana Trench. "It's called the Echo Flame," Elias said, "and it runs on memory." Retrieving it wasn't easy. The trench was miles deep. Varnock drones circled above, watching for movement, but the resistance used a trick the aliens never expected. Emotion masking. They put their pilots through powerful emotional simulations, memories of fear, love, war, to confuse the psychic sensors. The Varnock scanners picked up the chaos and turned away. "They think we're broken," Leah said. "Let them," Raj replied. The Echo Flame rose from the sea like a ghost, black, sleek, glowing with soft blue light, not fueled by gas or fusion, but by imprinted neural memory cores and the same tech the Varnock used to transfer their minds, except this time, it belonged to humans. Every pulse of the engine carried voices. The voices of those who died in silence, now burning through the stars. Their first target, a mind transfer hub orbiting Jupiter. This hub controlled the clone bodies for most of the Varnock elite. If destroyed, they would become mortal. Raj led the assault. The Echo Flame jumped into high orbit. They were outnumbered 10-1, but the ship didn't fire lasers. Instead, it released a memory burst. The Varnock fleet hesitated. They saw flashes of Earth's past, World War trenches, burning cities, a child hugging their dying mother, and for the first time in centuries, they felt fear. The battle didn't last long. Most of the Varnock ships shut down, their pilots frozen in emotional overload. Raj targeted the main relay and launched one pulse round. The station exploded in silence, no fire, no debris, just vanished as if never there. Back on Earth, Elias made a public broadcast, hijacking the alien network. His face appeared in the sky. You once thought we were beneath you, but we are the storm you never saw coming. We bleed, we scream, we love, that makes us weak and that makes us strong. You wanted obedience, but what you created was a species with nothing left to lose. In the Zortalan High Chamber, the Varnock Council panicked. One member tried to delete the entire human signal from their psychic core, but the virus had already fused. They couldn't remove the memories, because they weren't. Infected, they were now part human. Shiratek, now desperate, spoke to the council. We must retreat. But another council member, trembling, said, Where will we go? Every voice we buried is now screaming inside us. On Earth, the resistance celebrated. For the first time, humanity was not just surviving, they were winning. But Elias wasn't, smiling. He looked up at the stars. They'll try one last move, he said. Not to win, but to erase everything. Leah turned to him. A mind wipe? Elias nodded. No, something worse. The final cleanse. Far beyond Earth's moon, a dark shape moved through space. Huge, silent, covered in black armor. The Varnock's last weapon. It had no crew, no thoughts. Only one purpose, to wipe clean all minds on Earth. Human, alien, even its own. The fall of the Immortals. The weapon with no mind. Far beyond the Earth, past the silence of space, something moved. Not fast, not loud, but heavy, like the weight of 1,000 dead worlds. A massive black vessel shaped like a blade drifted closer to Earth. No lights, no crew. It carried no weapons. Because it was the weapon. The Varnock called it the Mind Eclipse. Its purpose was simple, to send out one final pulse, pure cold psychic energy, strong enough to wipe out every conscious mind on the planet. No thoughts, no memory, no resistance, not death. Erasure. In the Ember Circle war room, alarms screamed. Satellites picked it up first, then the psychic scanners. Leah Morgan stared at the incoming object on the screen. That's not a ship, she whispered. That's a grave. Elias Stride limped to her side. He looked pale, weak. The memory broadcasts were taking a toll on his mind. It's their fail-safe, he said. If they can't control Earth, they'll erase it. Commander Raj Malik slammed his fist into the table. Then we hit it first. But Elias shook his head. You can't destroy it with weapons. It has no thoughts, no fear. You can't infect what doesn't feel. In orbit, the Echo Flame rose again. It carried the Resistance's last hope. A team of 12, including Raj, Leah, and a reformed Varnock technician named Tirzen, who had fully broken from the collective. Tirzen had no orders anymore. No hive mind. He was alone. He was free. And for the first time he felt loyalty. You saved me, he told Raj. Now, I'll help save you. The plan was impossible. To board the Mind Eclipse. To find its core. To install a counterpulse, a human emotion burst powerful enough to short-circuit the weapon. But there was one problem. The Mind Eclipse had no entry points, no doors, no systems. Just a single conscious core buried deep inside, a blank slate. A dead god, and someone had to link with it directly, to overwrite the core with their own memory. But doing that meant one thing. The person who connected would lose everything, their identity, their name, their soul. Leah volunteered. Elias stepped forward too. So did Tirzen and Raj. Silence fell over the team. Only one could go in. In the dark of space, they approached the eclipse. It looked like a floating mountain, black stone, humming with ancient power. The closer they came, the harder it was to think. Thoughts blurred, names slipped. Even machines began to forget their own code. "It's already working," Leah said. "It's erasing everything." They found the pulse gate, a narrow crack in the hull. The ship opened like it was breathing. Not a machine, but a living tomb. Inside there were no lights, only memories. Echoes of Varnock voices screaming in fear, trapped in the walls. Raj led the team through the empty halls, weapons ready. No enemies. No crew. Just silence. At the center, the eclipse core. A floating black crystal, larger than a human. And in front of it, a chair. Not Varnock made. Human made. Elias' stride touched the chair. His voice cracked. "I made this." "You were here before?" Leah asked. "Yes," he said. "Years ago. They forced me to build the shell, but I hid the key." "Where?" Elias pulled a small chip from his jacket. "It's my mind, a backup copy. If I sit in that chair and link to the core, I can burn it out from inside." "You'll lose everything," Raj warned. Elias nodded. "But maybe. That's the price." As he approached the chair, Tirzen stopped him. "Let me do it." "No," Elias said. "You still have a future." Tirzen's voice trembled. "So do you." But Elias smiled softly. "I've already lived twice. This time, I'll be remembered." He sat. He connected the chip. The ship roared. Suddenly, memories filled the air. Not data. Not images, but real, living memory. Elias's childhood, his mother's voice, the day he first saw the stars. The crystal core screamed, a soundless burst, as human memory clashed with its empty code. Outside, the eclipse began to crack. On Earth, people felt it, a warm wave, emotion pulsing through their bones. Not fear, but recognition. "He's saving us," Leah whispered, eyes filled with tears. The mind eclipse broke apart from the inside. One final pulse escaped, not to destroy but to heal. Every Varnock on Earth froze. Some fell, some wept. Others walked away from their posts, dropping their weapons. For the first time in Varnock history, the collective went silent. In orbit, the echo flame pulled back as the eclipse collapsed. No explosion, no light, just dust and memory, spreading across space like stardust. Elias was gone, but something new remained. A psychic imprint, forever circling Earth. A whisper in the stars. We remember. On Zortalin, General Ziratek stood alone. The council was gone. The fleet offline. He activated a small escape pod. He could run, hide, start again. But before he launched, he saw something, his own reflection. And behind it, a memory. A human child, smiling at him. "Impossible," he muttered. "I buried that memory." He closed his eyes and did not launch. Back on Earth, Raj and Leah stood on a quiet hill, looking at the sky. The war was over. Not with a final battle, but with a final feeling. The price of victory. The silence after the storm. The war was over, but Earth did not celebrate. There were no fireworks, no victory speeches, no cheering crowds, because victory had a cost. The skies were quiet, the stars, watching. And deep inside every human, there was one question left. What now? In the Ember Circle's main base, Leah Morgan stood by the glass, looking at the sunrise. She hadn't slept in 3 days, not because of danger, but because of what she had seen inside the mind eclipse. So many lives, wiped clean, she whispered. Commander Raj Malik sat nearby, holding a small memory crystal, the last remnant of Elias' stride. He hadn't spoken since the final battle. But now, he looked at Leah and said softly, "We didn't win because we were strong. We won because we remembered what it felt like to lose everything." Across the world, the resistance slowly disbanded. People returned to broken homes, burned cities, shattered nations. There were no more orders to follow, no alien skyships above. But something had changed. Humans had seen what they could become, and it scared them. In Tokyo, a group of scientists discovered something buried under an old Varnock relay station. Not a weapon, a library. Inside were memory, cores, not of Varnock but of hundreds of extinct species. Creatures and cultures wiped out by the Immortal Order over thousands of years, their languages, their dreams, preserved in silence. Humanity was not the first target, but they were the first to survive. Meanwhile, something strange was happening to the captured Varnock. They weren't violent anymore. They sat quietly. They painted. Some of them even began to dream. A few spoke human words, slow and unsure. "We feel now." One of them, Tirzan, stayed with Leah and Raj. He helped them rebuild. He taught them how the Varnock once created art, before they chose immortality over identity. "We were not always monsters," he said. "You reminded us." But peace did not mean safety. High above, in the remains of orbit, human teams explored broken Varnock stations. In one of them, they found a message, not sent to Earth, but from Earth, time-stamped 1400 years ago. It was a human voice, female, calm, strange accent. "If you are hearing this, then the Varnock returned. And if they returned, then we failed. Do not trust the stars. They lie." The message ended with 3 words. Project Seed active. Leah and Raj were stunned. Someone knew. Even back then, Leah said. "Knew what?" Raj asked. Tirzan stepped forward. He was shaking. Project Seed was not Varnock technology. It was a gift, given to them. "By who?" Leah asked. Tirzan whispered, "Your kind." Silence. Time froze. Back in the underground vault where Elias once slept, a light blinked. A hidden terminal turned on. Text appeared on the screen. "Rebirth protocol initiated." Another line followed. "One embryo has survived." Inside the chamber, a small pod pulsed with soft white light. Inside was a child, not Varnock, not fully human. Both. Leah stared at the footage. Her hands trembled. "What did Elias do?" she whispered. Raj looked over the data. The child was created during the final days of the war. Elias had spliced Varnock neural DNA with human empathy centers, a being that could survive in both worlds, not as a soldier, but as a bridge, a living memory. The resistance leaders met for the last time. The world was rebuilding. But now there was a choice. Do they raise the child? Or bury the project forever? Some feared the child's power. Others saw it as hope. Leah stood up and spoke. "The Varnock erased the past. We almost did the same. But this child, this is the price of victory. Not death, not conquest, but understanding." 20 years later, on a quiet mountain, a young boy sat alone looking up at the stars. His skin shimmered slightly in the moonlight. His eyes held galaxies. He did not speak often, but he listened to everything. And sometimes, he dreamed. He saw old worlds, dying suns, lost cities. He remembered them all. One day he asked Leah a question. "Will they come back?" She looked up at the sky. "I don't know." "And if they do?" She smiled softly. "Then we'll remind them again why humans are not to be conquered." In the void beyond Earth's system, far across uncharted galaxies, a signal pulsed, a warning beacon. Earth classified Level 10 threat. Do not approach, do not engage, do not provoke. But another message hidden beneath said something else. Observation continues. One anomaly detected. Subject, hybrid. Status, unpredictable, and far away. Something ancient opened its eyes, not Varnock, something older. Watching, waiting.